Okay, so I definitely realize it has been quite some time since the last time I have uploaded something to YouTube. However, I hope this will be well worth the wait. Um, since the last time I have uploaded something, I've joined the D3 Tool team. If you're not familiar with D3 Tool, go to d3tool.com. Join the D3 Tool Facebook group. You can get more details and information there. But essentially, we're just a small group of software developers that are passionate and motivated for pushing the digital dentistry envelope forward, and yeah, really kind of just innovating new things and just trying to see what we can do. Um, the first project that was released by D3 Tool was D3 Splint. If you're not familiar, you can check that out as well. Patrick Moore is the lead developer on that. Um, the second release is a project that I've been involved with called D3Mesh. It's specifically designed to work with Autodesk Mesh Mixer. It's a really common app that we use all the time for common dental tasks and workflows. So I thought it'd be nice to have something that could really make that a little bit easier. Um, so first things first, let's go ahead and pop open the app. Now, you should note that you have to have Mesh Mixer open first before opening this app. Otherwise, it will show you something different, and I will show you that in just one second. Feature to always stay on top. This window will always stay on top. So if you go back to Mesh Mixer and you're doing something, it won't go under, so you can always do whatever you need to do in this app as well. At the same time. So that's pretty handy. If you need to get it out of the way, you can just minimize it. Let me show you what it looks like if you don't have Mesh Mixer open. Okay, so it should say, give you some sort of error here saying that it's not open and you're going to have to try again. We can get into this kill Mesh Mixer thing in just one second. But for right now, it's not open, so we got to. And I'm going to go ahead and just import that bunny so we got something on the screen. Then open up D3Mesh again. Okay, so I'm just going to run through some of the main features of this application and how to use it, and the basic workflows. So in general, this entire app is broken into 3 different segments. The first section here is called the menu. The second segment is called the menu option section, and the last section is called the object browser section. We can get into that as well a little bit later. Each section does something a little bit different. This is pretty much the main menu up here. It's divided into different categories as well, which you can collapse, and it will just kind of tidy things up a little bit if you're really only working with 1 or 2 things. As you can see, there's 2 main menus. First one is Mesh Mixer functions. The second one is Dent functions, so anything related to dental. I'm going to go ahead and just start with the first one here, Mesh Mixer functions. You can see right away we have something called power functions. We have a label generator, a support generator, a part library, and something else that we saw earlier called kill Mesh Mixer. Currently, there are only several things working at the moment. Everything else is coming right away, right down the pipeline here. It's in development. However, we just had to get this out and just let people start using it and start testing it. But for right now, what we have is this first thing, power functions. It's essentially just quick things that you would typically take 1 or 2 steps to do in Mesh Mixer. You'd have to do one and then another, and then maybe a third. And this will combine all those things in one, and just be able to do it kind of in a quick automated fashion. So for instance, let's see here. Go ahead and get my select tool out, and let's just say I selected that and I deleted it. We got a hole there. If I wanted to, let's just say get in and kind of remesh the border of that hole a little bit, I had hit point select. And what that does is it zooms in to where you're working and it changes it to wireframe mode. And it also brings up the select menu in Mesh Mixer and brings the radius of the brush down to 0. So you can just kind of point select different triangles. And this is handy whenever you're kind of just getting up close and working with individual triangles and things like that. It can be pretty handy. So right now what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you the other power function that's available at the same time. Here, what I'll do is I'll just go ahead and double click this boundary and that will select the entire hole. I'm going to do something else called a quick remesh. I click that and it did it pretty quick, but if I hit W and get back into the wireframe, you can see it a bit more clear. Essentially what it did is it took that one ring, that ring of triangles, expanded it 2 or 3 times, a little bit further out, remeshed it in an adaptive form, just to make it a little bit higher density, as well as just a better, kind of like an improved triangle mesh in that specific reason. It kind of transitions better from one from the further side of the hole to the nearer side of the hole where the boundary is. So yeah, so that's basically what that is. That comes in handy sometimes. So that's why I included that. That's what those two power functions are, and those are what are available currently. There's going to be several more, as I mentioned. Another thing here is something called a label generator. What this will be is it's kind of like a tool where when you click on it, other options will show up down in this menu option section. So you can type in name, practice information, patient information, and the font and size and whatever you need. And you can hit go and it'll generate what Mesh Mixer uses um, to stencil on or emboss text or other information onto 3D models. So it'll just automatically generate that for you and it will place it into the directory where it needs to be. So when you head over to your sculpting and your embossing tool, it'll just be right there ready to go. So you can just do as many labels as you want, and they should just show up right in that directory ready to go. Let's see, the support generator, it's pretty self-explanatory, depending on what 3D printer you have, and there's several coming out these days. Supports can be a little bit more ideal for one printer than the other, and sometimes you can tailor it even better than the default software that the printer has in Mesh Mixer, and it kind of makes sense if you're doing all this other stuff in one program just to finish it off there too. I have no problem generating supports in the default software of the printers. In fact, it's probably the better idea. But this tool is here to generate the supports that will work best for each different printer. There should be a category for each different 3D dental printer that's out there, or the main ones, and the supports and the bases that work best with that particular printer. The next thing here is something called a part library, and that is essentially going to be just what it is, a part library. It's going to have 3 different subsections. One of them is going to be several tooth libraries that we have that are going to be available to use in Mesh Mixer, just like the Brennis one is right now. There's a couple of videos on how to add that as a part library in Mesh Mixer, but this is just within this app. There will be other libraries available here. And there will be different parts related to 3D printing, and also different parts related to, generating models and the attachments that also can be used there. Essentially, there's a big catalog that we've been collecting and curating through of all these 3D files that are related to each one of these categories. And that's what we've done is just kind of separated them out, organized them, and like I said, curated them to make sure they're good and able to print and can function well. And so that will be available coming shortly. Um, the last thing here is something called Kill Mesh Mixer, and if you're someone that uses Mesh Mixer often, um, you'll realize that from time to time you'll get into a situation where it just freezes up on you, and maybe you realize what you did, maybe you don't realize what you did, but it just freezes up on you. And there's a lot of ways to get rid of that. You can try to just hack on the X button a little bit, and hopefully that'll get rid of it. Um, or you can use the task manager and kind of in task and all that. But that's, again, more steps. So I just thought, heck, why not? I'm just going to include this in here. It happens enough. So if you click on this, and the nice thing about Mesh Mixer is if you did have something open, it asks if you would like to restore it. So we'll go ahead and do that. And let's get that open again. Okay. So we've kind of gone over the different Mesh Mixer portions of the D3Mesh app. The last part here is the dent portion. I'm going to expand that. Actually, I'll close this up so we got a little bit more room. And these are all sizable, so you can change things if you need to. But let's see here. Let's get this closed. And let's see what we got available. So with the dent tools, there's going to be several coming. They're all different modules. The first one available is Model Builder. Essentially, it's just taking all the steps and parameters and tools that we all know and use already in Mesh Mixer to make models, but it will just do it automatically, and it's so much more efficient. And it's got to be fractions cheaper than the next model builder that I can think of. So I'll just kind of show you how that works in a different video. This is more just the whole application and what's to come and how it's going to be used. But for instance, if I were to click on that model builder, well, first let's go ahead and actually let's do that. Model builder. All the options associated with this app or this module that I've clicked on will now show up in this menu option. I'm going to also bring this up a little bit. So any options that are available for this particular tool will show up right here. And for the model builder, it's a step sequence. So we just read the instructions and kind of go forward and go step by step and click or uncheck or type in any of the options that exist for each of the steps. And you just keep on going next, next, next until you're all the way done. It's kind of familiar if you've used any of the other dental CAD apps before. And maybe we'll just, well, as I'm doing this, I'll kind of show you how it works here. But as I'm doing this in the background, the bottom section here, where it says Object Browser, is just is something where, for me, it's just a personal grief, I guess. The Object Browser that's built into Mesh Mixer is a bit clunky and it's hard to organize. It's just difficult to use, and it could be so much better. And so I just figured it'd be an easy thing to tack on to this app to put right at the bottom here. So in the very next update or a very soon update, I will have a new reworked object browser that's going to be much, much better for organization, for efficiency, and for just kind of visualizing what you have on the screen. So that's what this is going to be down here. That's what this section is for. So I know this isn't a dental model, but it kind of works the same. This model builder will work for anything with an open base. So you can basically make anything into a object that you can 3D print, which is also kind of cool. Um, and like I said, I'll go through all the different steps here in just a minute and in a different video. Um, but if you ran all the steps through, uh, this is what would happen. You get a hollow bunny model. So that's what that does, and I'll show you how that works with an actual dental model in the next video. So thank you so much for watching, you guys, and check out the next videos because that will show you actually how to use this for building models and some troubleshooting tips as well. All right, thank you.